He looks like a baked bean. He looks like if someone took their thumb and stuck it in a piece of dough. It looks like a thumbprint. Anyway. It's not good. All right, what are we doing today for our short?
Easy short. We are going to talk about stigma from around the world because in 3 days it's going to be World Mental Health Day.
Yes.
And so we want to think about what's happening all around the world, but also in different cultures, right? Because there's different cultures living everywhere. And so these are some of the quote unquote beliefs that people have been raised with. And so when thinking about accessing mental health care or having conversations about mental health, these are things that kind of become embedded in you because you've grown up in a society that has stigmas or beliefs around things.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important to think about that when we're engaging with different people around different ideas with mental health, especially if we want to try to get them support for mental health need that we may be seeing, and they're a little bit hesitant to getting treatment or help.
Awesome.
So I'm gonna combine some.
Okay.
Of course, we used our friend Chat GPT.
Zaddy Chatty on
Chatty. So I'll combine some. Obviously, these are not all inclusive, and there are likely overlaps in lots of different places. But just to think about, because it's World Health Day. So for the United States, and this is actually, of the list, the United States was alone in this one. So there's a stigma around getting therapy and viewing it as a sign of weakness to get therapy. So that is a main stigma that came out for the United States.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I feel like we definitely see that all the time, you know? And because of that stigma, oftentimes people don't access or look to access therapy until they're in like dire straits, right? Because it's seen as this like weakness that like if you need someone to talk to, that means you are not resilient enough, right? And I think that probably plays a lot into the fact that the United States is such an individualistic culture. So a lot of other places around the world are more collectivist, and so having help from people, your elders, you know, seeking words of advice and wisdom from others is kind of normalized in a certain sense. But here in the United States, it's very much like people view themselves as an individual and like individual success, and you know, so resilience is kind of built into that, you know, a perspective of like being an individual and being successful, and therefore, you know, if you need help, it's seen as a sign of weakness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not gonna attain whatever level of success individually because you need to go and seek out support and treatment for mental health, which is something that has probably been part of your genetic makeup that was passed down to you by the people who may be saying those things to you, which is the irony.
I know.
Like, what? Okay.
I know. It's so interesting. I mean, and also too, like, you know, when we talk about like gender, you know, like here in the United States, there's a lot of like, and I think in a lot of other places, probably ubiquitous across the globe, but like, you know, girls and boys are kind of seen differently. And so especially if you're a man or, you know, a little boy, like you're taught that you have to be tough. You're taught that you have to like figure out how to deal with your emotions such that they never present themselves, you know, like outside of yourself, right. And so you add that layer onto things, then I think it makes it especially challenging.
So interestingly, on the topic of men in Australia, stigma related to men expressing vulnerability and seeking help for mental health issues is one of their main stigmas in that country.
Yeah, I believe it. Well, Australia has a very significant indigenous culture kind of underlying, the popular culture version of Australia that we see. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. I also think Australia is a country that also has some of the individualistic.
Yeah.
Stick. Ways that the United States does and some of the other more developed countries.
Yeah.
And so in that, I think sort of is built in that piece around men being strong and all of these deeply held long beliefs men don't cry, blah blah blah, all that nonsense.
Is it I know Hawaii has the men there's the traditional haka, that dance that they do. I think there's a similar version of that happens in Australia.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think so that's what I was thinking about with that individual. So those men have the tattoos and the it's super what you would view as manly,
right?
Kind of almost animalistic,
right?
Those are widely accepted emotions, but then
alpha male,
the
ring one up for the alpha male, Diana.
I know, ring.
Your favorite kind of male.
My favorite kind. But
all you alphas,
yes, alphas cry too.
Yes,
they're human, and so that's. Yeah, I think that's a very silly thing. And I know for myself, I definitely have had moments in my life where, when I saw a man express emotion, I almost felt uncomfortable. But that's simply because, it wasn't something that I saw a lot because of that stigma and societal, so I had to fight against my urge to, treat that as that was, a foreign situation,
right?
So I totally can see how we get wrapped up in that.
Yeah. In Greece, one of the major stigmas is around, I lost my place where I was reading, Greece, around people having the perception that mental health is a sign of personal weakness as well. That's their big stigma around mental health in Greece. And there are a few other countries that, it talks about personal weakness. Russia is another one.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. Shoot.
It says that it stems from the Soviet era.
Yeah.
That their attitudes that mental health issues are a sign of personal weakness.
Can you imagine someone in Russia being like, Mr. Putin, I just can't come to work today because my mental health is poor.
I need a mental health day.
Yeah.
Also, are you allowed to call him Mr. Putin?
I don't know.
Doubtful.
His freaking name is opposite of alpha. Just saying.
When I look at him,
he looks like a button. He looks like a baked bean. He looks like if someone took their thumb and stuck it in a piece of dough. It looks like a thumbprint. Anyway, I have strong feelings about that.
Wow.
Human.
I was not ready for that.
Yeah, so anyway, they probably can't call him Mr. Pitt.
No.
And also, if they said that, they probably disappear.
They have to probably have to call him Big Daddy Poop.
Big Daddy Poop Poop.
Poop Poop. Big Daddy Putt Putt. Putt Putt in your butt. Hashtag ninjas come from my roof.
I know, I was just gonna say. they are not gonna like us. I know. Oh no. Listen.
If all of a sudden you're both like,
they won't make it obvious. They love to poison people. That's how they like to do it.
That's why we make our own drinks here at the Easy Speak.
And we don't leave them unattended ever.
We don't. Sorry, pot poop poop.
I can't say what I was gonna say.
Oh, just say it. You made me say it.
Nope.
You made me.
Too violent.
Too violent. Okay. No violence.
No violence.
Okay. Let's go to another country around the world.
Okay.
So in China, stigma associated with mental health is being seen as a shame to someone's family.
Oh, yes. So this is interesting. So like China is very much more of like a collectivist type of culture. Mm-hmm. So now it's not the individual, it's like the family name. Right? It's like, and
you're an embarrassment to us.
Yes.
As the collective.
Yes. That's a lot of pressure. That's a ton. Like, I mean, we put enough pressure on ourselves, but then to have your like parents be like, you're putting shame on our name. Like that is like, how do you combat that and overcome it? So.
Yeah. And I think that's something that we see represented in suicide rates in Asian cultures is extremely high.
Yes, it's true.
It's true. I think that this idea around that they're letting their family down can sometimes exacerbate a mental health need.
Yes.
So much beyond.
Yes.
Because they don't want to seek out treatment and they don't want to talk to anybody. And so that, like we talked about in our podcast episode,
a pressure cooker.
Is like, right. And it's that isolation, that like overwhelming isolation is not good for the human condition at all.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think about some of the schools here in Boston that we have a lot of Asian students come here to Boston to study because we have really amazing schools here. But also some of those schools see a high suicide rate. And I think a lot fall within that culture.
Which is very hush-hush,
It's very, nobody talks about it ever. But there's so, like, you know, MIT, like they have a lot. Harvard,
all of these places.
You know, it's that like you come here, you're supposed to be achieving academically, and then like you come to a school where literally everyone was number one.
Yes.
And then now you have to be competing against them, and you're here. You know, your parents expect you to leave MIT a nuclear physicist, and you're like, I don't know, I might want to do real estate, bro.
Yeah.
And it's like not allowed.
And they're like, real estate?
Yeah. They're like, we didn't send you to America, become a real estate agent. You know, and then like it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. And then you're also in a completely different environment, culture. So
I think that piece around the kind of sending your kids to America is something that a lot of people that migrate here for school, or their parents send them here to go to school, feel that same kind of pressure.
Yes.
In that really,
making it here, it's like this is the dream, coming here and being successful. I think a lot of like first generation Americans feel that.
Yes.
You know, not just like people who come here for school, but yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so let's see, where else can we go around the world?
Around the world. Does it say anything about Africa? That's always been interesting.
So South Africa, it says stigma around mental health is issues being linked to witchcraft or supernatural causes.
Yes, that's also very like Caribbean, which makes sense, right?
And also in Haiti.
Yes, in Haiti.
Says supernatural causes or curses.
Yes, which is a very interesting topic, especially considering our recent conversation around religion and just like the different ways that it manifests into beliefs and you know, spirituality and all of that. And so, you know, on the one hand, it's like you don't want to discount that, right? And so like what we said before was yes and Right? What else can we be doing to help mitigate those risks? But yeah, I mean, coming from a Haitian family, thankfully my parents were not super into that aspect of the culture, but I remember growing up hearing stories like if someone were to be having a mental health issue or even a physical health issue, it's like, oh, so and so put a curse on them, or like they went to see the witch doctor down the road and they walked out this way, like and so yeah, it's very interesting. It's kind of like a chicken or the egg in that situation for me. It's like, did that person try to get help from that like standard practice of spirituality and have a bad experience and that exacerbated things? Or but yeah, it's really interesting. That stuff has always been fascinating to me.
Yeah, definitely. So let's do one more.
Okay.
We've been pretty much around the world, I think.
Yep.
So
what are the Alaskans? Not Alaskans.
That's United States.
Yep. Antarcticans, Greenlands.
I don't know. That didn't come up on my list.
North Polians.
North Polians? What, Santa and the elves? Yeah. Are you okay? They are always in a great mood because
geography.
It's Christmas cheer. All I can think of is the movie
Elf
right
I'm
now.
thinking of Buddy the Elf. What's your favorite color? Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color?
What's a Christmas gram? I want one.
And you're my dad, and I love you,
and I love you.
I love that movie.
Love that movie.
So
always
good.
Puts me in such a good mood.
Me too.
Okay, so Mexico.
Sure.
We haven't been down to Central America, South America.
We need a lesson on geography.
Or whatever that is. So
down there, south of the border.
So rude. So, this is such an American moment.
South of the border. Just look for the border
Mexico,
and then
where
over it.
Like,
Look for the massive wall.
You said south of the border, and I just heard that commercial that goes dung. What is it?
I don't. Nationwide? No.
I thought it was Taco Bell.
Oh, okay. Donald Trump has somehow found his way in along.
Not into here yet.
Yeah, he has.
Okay. Nobody that is a Trumpster is listening to this podcast because they don't believe in mental health.
That's not true.
Politics on the next podcast.
Oh no, we are not going there.
Okay, Mexico. Their major mental health stigma is rooted in overall toughness.
Machismo.
Yep, that you are not tough enough if you are dealing with a mental health need.
It's funny because I feel like I've heard this from like African colleagues that I've had in the past that I worked with in the mental health field who like I've had them be like, depression? This is my best impression of an African person. Depression? Oh, these kids are depressed. And they're
you
like...
You still sound Asian.
I know, I can't help it. And they're like, all these kids are depressed, like, in Africa, they don't have food, they don't have water, So I think in some of these places where life can be rough and challenging, that, like, it's hard for some people to fathom depression as we know it within the context of our culture here in the United States or elsewhere, any place where it seems like life is better.
Right.
Like, it's hard for them to, like, fathom.
I think there are some societies that work really hard, more like on the manual labor type side of work.
Yes.
And I think Mexico is one of those countries that applies.
Yep.
And so I think, like, if you're not, tough enough, then it's really like, get your life.
Exactly. Which, again, like, you don't want to knock it because I do think, I've talked about it on this podcast before that I think sometimes we coddle our youth and our society a little bit too much, and that if people aren't as mentally tough, and so.
No, I agree. Sometimes it's like, okay, yes, it's tough.
Yes.
But we're going to work through it.
Exactly.
We're not going to not do the thing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's tough, but we're still going to find a way. Is a different mindset. And togetherness. Yes. Is a different mindset than like, this is hard, I can't.
Yeah.
And also sometimes we feel like this is hard, I can't, and that's okay. So, but yeah, that's an interesting, I can imagine if someone's struggling with mental health challenges within a culture like that it could be really challenging to find help, seek help, understand that you need help, and not see yourself as just like being totally different / a burden /
yeah,
whatever.
So I feel like this was a fun trip around the world. And I think it's always nice to take a glimpse into what other people are thinking, believing, feeling.
Yeah.
From all different walks of life and places around the earth. Like, we're not just over here living our own thing and nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Especially, I think, in the United States, we have people from so many different countries, which is, I feel like, the best part of the United States.
Yeah.
But it's important for us to understand other people and have tolerance, and especially around mental health for all of these reasons. So, this World Mental Health Day, I think, as always, people should take time for themselves.
Yes.
Prioritize your mental health.
Yeah.
Do that self-inventory that we talk about. Did I have water? Did I eat? Have I exercised, moved my body, talk to people that I love, all the things, other things that you may do for yourself that make you feel good. And I don't know, maybe take mental health day off and go and do something amazing for yourself.
Oh snap, that's a great idea.
World Mental Health Day should be a holiday.
Ubiquitous across the board.
Yeah, everybody takes the day off.
Mental Health Day.
Like, it would be so great if you, it became such a big thing that you couldn't even, get in somewhere to get a facial or a massage or whatever. It became a huge self-care day.
The World Health Organization needs to say something about this.
Knock, knock. World Health Organization.
Who's there?
Can you please get it together for World Mental Health Day and make it an worldwide holiday?
I mean, they've classified mental health as one of the biggest challenges of our lifetime.
It's the biggest. Mental health is the biggest disability in the world.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we've got all the good ideas.
Yep, that's correct.
You could always hire us to help you if you're stuck.
Hard pitch. Hire us.
Hire us to help you if you're stuck. Everyone except for Lil Poot Poot.
Lil Putt Putt
can feel.
Oh, Lil Putt Putt Butt.
Maybe, you know what? I would help him too. There's nobody I wouldn't help.
Go out and do something good for yourself for World Mental Health Day.
Go forth in peace and love and light.
Yes, and be kind to other people.
Namaste
and namaste.
Namaste and namaste.
Bye.
Bye.